Welcome to Friday, TGIF. It's Friday, the 28th day of November, 2025. Your DayWeather Podcast brought to you by the Advocates Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, don't face it alone. Get an experienced local Wyoming attorney on your side. Free consultations at WyomingAdvocates.com or call 307-800-1952. You deserve an advocate. Well, the pattern is going to get a lot more busy now as we get started, really beginning today, then into next week, as winter weather is finally evolving across North America. This all starts with a cold front moving south out of Canada into Montana today. Going to be quite snowy across southern sections of Alberta, Saskatchewan, into Montana and western North Dakota during the day. By afternoon, this front will be spreading snow showers across Wyoming north to south, and then overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. While this front does not have a lot of moisture to work with, it just doesn't, it is going to produce enough widespread light snow to make things icy. So the amounts of snow aren't going to be impressive at all, but it could get really icy. And the reason for this is that the first bit of snow that does fall is going to freeze after it melts. That's going to cause black ice. This is where you watch those bridges, those exit ramps, the sneaky icy conditions that can develop. So that's just something to be ready for. The mountains will get a nice little shot of snow out of this. Another system swings in behind it. It moves a little bit further south. This second system is going to spread light snow into Utah, southwestern Wyoming, a good part of the mountain areas and the western slope of Colorado. Then it's going to go out into eastern Colorado and spread snow into Kansas late Sunday into Monday along Interstate 70. And again, that's another system that isn't really wet, doesn't have a lot of moisture, but as it interacts with the colder air, light snows will fall along that system. If you want bigger snow, that's going to be in the Midwest as we get into tomorrow and Sunday. We have another similar setup. In fact, it's almost identical. Late Tuesday into Wednesday, a reinforcing shot of Canadian air, a little bit of Pacific moisture, and not a lot, but a little bit of snowfall with that secondary system. And then we're going to get into a pattern that is best described as northwest flow. What does that mean? That's when winds aloft come across the Rockies from the northwest to the southeast. It is a known pattern in the cold season. If it goes over the water for a little bit out in the eastern Pacific, is a really good way to get mountain snow production going on a more consistent basis. And we'll show you that here in a minute. The satellite imagery shows this upper level low swinging in, starting to head southeast, dragging the colder Canadian air up here south into the region. We've got some wave clouds forming ahead of this trough. Wave clouds along and east of the Continental Divide there. And those will be developing throughout the day. We're already seeing moisture increasing with some shower activity here, but the colder air, as evidenced up here, as you'll see here, is going to be coming in as this next wave drops south and east, coming into the region. You can see the coldest core of air is still up into Hudson Bay, but this cold core is going to sink south closer to the U.S.-Canadian border throughout the course of the weekend. And there you can see the cold air that's going to be pouring in behind the system for a big drop in temperatures by tomorrow, heading south along and especially east of the Continental Divide. So this is round number one of the precipitation through tomorrow. So this is today into tomorrow. So you can see moderate snows going to be falling across Montana. Montana going to be snowiest, but across the Dakotas as well, along the Interstate 90 stretch of Wyoming, I-25, up into the mountains of northwestern Wyoming, then into the high country of Colorado and southern Wyoming, and a little bit along Interstate 80, a little bit of snowfall. Again, nothing to write home about except here. If you're going to be traveling through this area here, you're certainly going to be looking at the iciest roads and the poorest travel conditions. We're going to be looking at this as happening really over the next 24 to 48 hours. Then as we get into Sunday, we have this next system, and it comes in right behind it. It's moisture starved, but northwest flow aloft, going to be pushing in the colder air into the lower U.S., lower 48. The north-south axis of the coldest air is making the coldest air rotate around like this in a counterclockwise fashion. So the air is directed north-south, more directed towards the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes, where lake effect snows are just going to crank out. But this system will spread light snow across areas right here. So here's the secondary wave coming through. So you can see that the Interstate 80 corridor from the Snowy Range to Evanston, up to Pinedale, back into Salt Lake City here, back into Grand Junction, you're going to get during the day Sunday into Monday some snowy conditions here. Again, it's not a lot of snow, but it's going to make it icy. There's going to be light to moderate snow right here along Interstate 70 across Kansas Sunday into Monday morning. So travelers, watch out for that. It's just going to be plain old-fashioned, very frigid up there, and the drier air settling in behind the Arctic front. So we have basically two little snow events between today and into Monday morning. And there you can see the secondary snow event as it comes on through. Again, not very impressive, but enough to be a travel headache. Between now and Monday morning, you can see where the problems are going to be, where the darker shading is, and that's where we've been talking about. Chicago, Iowa, eastern Nebraska, going across southern Wisconsin into the Great Lakes region is where the wintry weather is going to be at its worst, and this is going to be developing tomorrow through Sunday and into early Monday with snowfall totals in the bright pink areas there, showing where the heaviest precipitation will be. Lake effect snows and windy, colder conditions elsewhere, and there's going to be a little bit of ice. Look at that. That is not a lot of freezing rain, but where is that? Well, it's right on I-80 across Nebraska. So this is going to be something Saturday and Sunday. Nebraska travelers, I-80 travelers, the only way you're going to beat this is don't travel late tomorrow through Sunday and into early Monday in that area if you don't want to mess with it. There's the cold over a 5-day period. So you can see the cold air spills along and east of the Continental Divide and fills up the nation's midsection with the coldest temperatures from this weekend into the middle parts of next week. Then as we get into the next week, it doesn't look like the map has changed at all. It really doesn't look like much has changed. We're kind of stuck in northwest winds aloft. Then the next wave comes along the coast of Canada, rides down just along and west of the divide. Very, very cold air around this area here. That'll be really directing the coldest air into areas in the upper Midwest. The Rockies is right on the edge of the coldest air. So the Continental Divide is going to hold up a lot of it. West of the divide, it won't be as cold. This next wave is just like the ones coming this weekend. It's just not really moist, but it will spread another light snow event into the Intermountain West Tuesday into Wednesday. So that will be a little bit of a weather maker as well, even though it won't be a big snow event. And then all the way through, this is Tuesday through Friday. Notice the pattern is about the same, and this is that northwest wind aloft I talked about right here. Strong winds aloft coming from the northwest to the southeast brings in cold, moist Pacific air into the Pacific Northwest and the northern Rockies. This particular pattern, if you want snow on the plains, this isn't the pattern you want. You want upslope. So this is not a plains pattern for snow production, but it is a snow production pattern for the mountain ranges. And as I'll show you here in a moment, the snowpack is suffering poorly in most of the western United States, not all places. But this is the type of pattern you want to see if you're a skier or a snowmobiler, because this will keep the mountain snows more frequent and more productive. And here's a good example of this. This is for next Saturday. See these winds aloft? This is at 18,000 feet, just coming in very strongly into the Pacific Northwest and Northern Rockies. And the water, the winds aloft are coming over the water, picking up that Pacific moisture and just forcibly, it's just a forced push of the moisture into the higher terrain. So this is good news for the snowpack for parts of the northern and central Rockies over the next 7 to 14 days, really, to get that going. And if you look at where the snowpack is now, just awful. Now, what's upside down about this is that snowpacks are over 200% of average in parts of Arizona. We've got basically in this area here. Now, this isn't much of a surprise if you've been following the weather for the last 4 to 5 weeks, because we've had very wet weather in California and Arizona. We've had Pacific systems just sliding in like this. So we've got the southern Rockies and the desert Southwest and the Sierra Nevada really actually doing okay. But boy, if you look in the middle, just awful snowpack conditions with all the red that's into those areas there. But with that northwest flow coming on in, this should help over the next couple of weeks in the mountains. But again, it's not necessarily a significant way to make it snow a lot on the plains, although there will be some. Don't forget our regional travel forecast. We'll update you again with it this afternoon. Have yourself a good and safe weekend and stay warm.